What's going on, guys? Welcome and thanks for tuning in to Allied Health Mentors. My name is Eddie, and today I wanted to share with you a story of how I got flown halfway across the country to draw blood from a high-profile patient. If you watched my last video, you see that I'm wearing the same shirt. That's because I'm filming this directly after my last video. I'm not going to wear the shirt every time. It's just, this is how it played out tonight. So I wanted to share with you guys this story about how I found myself in a weird situation, got flown across the country as a phlebotomy technician, as an allied health professional. So this story starts is because I was looking for a job, and I went on Craigslist to look for a job. And as I explained in my last video, I had found my first phlebotomy position on Craigslist, so I knew Craigslist was safe, and I went back to it because I thought it would help me get a similar position in phlebotomy. So there was a posting for a guy looking for a mobile phlebotomist, or really just looking for anyone with a phlebotomy license that was willing to travel to draw for his laboratory. It was like a small independent sports laboratory. And I responded to the Craigslist ad. He called me. He said, hey, here's the situation. I need a certified phlebotomy technician to meet me in San Diego. He said, you're in Los Angeles. It's only a 2.5-hour drive. I'll pay you for your drive time. You come here. I'll pay you here up front. I just need you to draw some athletes for me. I said, all right, cool. And I had nothing to lose. I was 21 years old, and I said, all right, I'm going to drive to San Diego and meet this dude that I've never met before in a hotel room somewhere in the suburbs of San Diego. And that's what I did. I drove down early in the morning, and I got to the hotel. And don't get me wrong, it was like a nice hotel. It wasn't like a Motel 6 or anything. It was a really nice hotel. And I met the guy, and he broke down the situation for me. He said, all right, we're a sports laboratory. We test athletes for this, and that. And today I have a team of cyclists. They're doing the Tour de California, and we need to draw their blood before they go on this race or this circuit, whatever it is. I said, okay. So we went up to the hotel room. He had a bunch of laboratory supplies. He had pretty much everything I needed. I had my lab kit already, like my needles and stuff, but he did provide me with the tubes. There were some SSTs, some lavender tops, and urine cups, and requisitions for these patients. It was only 8 guys, and so they came in. This was early in the morning. It was like 8 o'clock by the time I got there, and these dudes came in, and they were all looking pretty tired. They were all cyclists, so they're all pretty fit. And one by one, I drew their blood, and that was that. You know, he said, "Good job." It was nice to meet me, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, are you available, for other projects like this?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. Right now I'm not really employed. I'm looking for work." And he said, "All right, I'll keep you in mind." Well, 2 days later, this guy calls me back, and he says, "Hey, Eddie, are you up to fly across the country for me?" And I was like, fly across the country for what? And he goes, I have this athlete. It's a high profile case in Minnesota. He goes, I have an athlete out there, and I need to get his blood here, and I could hire someone in Minnesota. He's like, but because this is such a valuable client, I don't want to send someone I haven't met yet. And he goes, I already met you. I knew you can draw blood. He's like, and I trust you. Can you go to Minnesota for me and draw this guy's blood and bring him back? And I said, yeah, why not? I have nothing planned. My week's free. So he set up a flight for me, set up a hotel, and he flew me out to Minnesota. Right smack in the middle of Minnesota, I landed, and this wasn't like a luxury flight. This was like Spirit Airline. I stayed in like whatever hotel. It was a nice hotel, but it wasn't like a Best Western or anything like that. It was like an independent hotel. So I stayed at this hotel, and I woke up the next morning, and he had given me the address to find this guy. And I had to drive like 2 hours outside of where I landed, where my hotel was. They had rented me a car, but they rented me a minivan. It was like a Dodge Caravan. And I drove 2 hours outside of the town to find this high-profile client. And when I got there, I pulled up, and I knocked on the door. And this was a big guy. I can't tell you who the client is. I'm not going to give you any information like that because of HIPAA. Some of you already know that. But I can't tell you anything about this client except that I went to Minnesota to draw his blood. And the guy came to the door. He was a big guy, pretty intimidating. I think he was caught off guard that I was there. He's like, who are you? I said, my name's Eddie. I'm a phlebotomy technician. I was told to come here and draw your blood. And he said, come in. And he made a call to his agent or someone. And he's like, yeah, this guy's here. And he was on the phone, and I'm sitting there, right, with my lab equipment. And he's like, He's like, no. He's like, yeah. He goes, no, he didn't ask me for an ID. And he looks at me, and I was like, oh, I didn't ask him for an ID. That's the one thing you're supposed to do. You're supposed to identify your patient. But he goes, he didn't ask me for my ID, but I think he knows who I am. And he goes, do you know who I am? And I go, yeah, I know who you are. He goes, all right. So he hangs up the phone, gives me his arm. At the beginning, he was a little standoffish, but eventually he like calmed down, and he gave me his arm. He kind of asked me some questions. He's like, where are you from? I said, I'm from Los Angeles. He goes, why are you from Los Angeles? So he's like, they flew you all the way out here? And I said, yeah, I got on a plane, came out here just to draw your blood, high profile client. And they sent the best guy they had. And, I was trying to be funny. Wasn't really having it, kind of laughing, not really. But yeah, I drew his blood, took his samples, and I'm on my way back to my hotel so I can put the samples in the refrigerator. Mind you, this is a 2-hour drive. And it wasn't until this point when I was driving back that I realized I had drawn 2 SSTs on this guy's. These are serum separator tubes that need to be spun in centrifuge and processed within an hour, at the very least spun. And I didn't have a centrifuge, so knowing what I knew from my last job, I knew that there was these certain outpatient labs in the area. I found one. I went inside just before they closed, and I said, hey guys, I need a really big favor. My name is Eddie. I'm a phlebotomy technician from Los Angeles. I had a client out here. I have this blood. I need to spin it. Will you let me use your centrifuge? And they kind of looked at me like, who is this guy coming up to us asking for us for centrifuge? But these ladies were really, really nice. They centrifuged my blood. They spun it. Mission accomplished. I drove back to the hotel, stored my blood, and I kind of had the rest of the night to explore Minnesota, or the rest of the evening. And this was about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks after Prince had died. You guys are Prince fans. And I ended up driving all the way to Paisley Park, which was nearby where I was staying. And I'm not a huge Prince fan, but because he was such an iconic guy, I thought I'd go take pictures for my family, and I did, and I got to see a lot of the memorial stuff that was left for Prince, so it was an experience. And then I drove back to town, and there's a hip-hop group that I like called Atmosphere, if you know who they are. Great. They're a good group that's been around for a while, but anyways, they're from Minneapolis, and they had a shop in the downtown area, and so I drove by there, but they were closed, so I didn't get to hang out there. But yeah, I did that at night. I went to go eat, went back to my hotel room, and then I left the next morning back to LA, met the guy, gave him the blood or the serum, and it was a done deal. He paid me for my time, he paid me for my mileage, and he gave me a trip out of it. But why am I telling this story, right? Why am I giving this crazy story? The reason I tell this story is because I believe that we need to take chances as allied health professionals, or any type of professionals, right? The point I want to get across is that you never know where this field can take you. You think, oh, I'm going to get a phlebotomy license or an MA, and I'm going to work at the local hospital, or I'm going to work at the local clinic. But you really have the opportunity to make an impact and to go and do these crazy things that you never thought imaginable. In my time as an allied health professional, I've worked, the outpatient, the inpatient, the back of the lab, the front of the clinic. I've done all that. But I've also worked in microbiology lab for public health. I've worked alongside police officers at a DUI checkpoint. You can possibly work in prisons. You can work, mobily, where you're your own boss. You can start your own phlebotomy company. You can even be a phlebotomy instructor. There's a lot you can do with this, but you're not going to find out what your potential is until you take those chances. And so that's why I tell you this story. That's why I thought it was a great experience to share with you guys. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. You never know where this license is going to take you, whether it's phlebotomy, CNA, medical assistant, respiratory therapist, dental assistant. You never know. So hang in there. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment. Send me a message. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. Both are at Allied Health Mentors. It's at Allied Health Mentors. You'll find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. It's all the same thing. I'll answer all the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. But until next time, I'll see you guys then. Thank you.